My name is Fernando Vera, and I'm an occupational therapist who practices in the assisted living setting. Therefore, this capstone is aimed to help with a specific challenge in my practice. The title is an occupational therapy led structured cognitive engagement program. As far as the overview, we know from direct knowledge as OTs, but also from the literature review, that older adults who reside in senior communities often experience mild cognitive change that cumulatively affects their ability to live independently. We also know that this cognitive decline is often very mild and not acute enough to necessarily need a referral to skilled OT services, even though these individuals may be presenting cognitive deficits for which our discipline would be critical. We also know that these senior communities often have engagement programs and they do make a good intent at providing value. However, the nature of these activities is more recreational and of entertainment value rather than robust cognitive activities that will help to reduce the decline in individuals who otherwise would be candidates for OT. In terms of the background and justification, we know that executive function is one of the most critical predictors of an individual's ability to maintain function over time. We also know that for those that do present deficits, the earlier that we can provide this cognitive wellness, the better the outcome is going to be, and the more likely we are to slow down the decline. But overall, the strongest justification for this program is it addresses a service gap between those seniors who present cognitive deficits but are not being referred to skilled OT because the the change is not often acute enough to be noticed by the physician, the family, or the caregiver. Therefore, there's a vacuum that this program would serve. And lastly, this would also provide an additional layer of activities for senior communities to provide further value to the overall residents to help strengthen cognitive skills. In terms of the literature review, it's well established that cognitive stimulation helps overall cognition and quality of life. As mentioned before, at the top of the ladder, executive function is one of the strongest predictors of this quality of life. But one of the things that I noticed in this, identified in this literature review, which is very, very critical, is that multi domain interventions will be far more effective than single domain approaches. So, working on two cognitive skills at a time is far more effective than working on one. Similarly, working in a group setting is far more superior than working on a one to one basis because of the social nature of the activity and the engagement that is going to ultimately help those participants. And lastly, interventions that combine cognition, physicality, and social engagement will also be superior than those that only incorporate one. In terms of my theoretical framework, I chose the model of human occupation as my first frame of reference, and it's because it's a very comprehensive and holistic approach that fits very well into this model. It really looks at and identifies the person's motivation or volition, their habituation, their performance capacity, and also the environment, which in this case is the residential setting and its unique value. It also encourages the participation in meaningful cognitive activities as part of the overall wellness of a person. My second frame of reference is the cognitive rehabilitation because it's framed in addressing existing cognitive deficits and helping to strengthen those deficits in individuals who otherwise would not receive any treatment. It uses very specific approaches, including the guided discovery, strategic training, working on task specific as opposed to more general, and ensuring that knowledge is transferred to real world practice. So, in this case, the activities are always rooted and grounded in occupations that are significant and relevant to the seniors that will be participants of this program. For the description of this program, it's meant for older adults with mild cognitive impairment who reside in long term living facilities, including assisted living. It's divided into 8 weekly sessions. Each session is 45 minutes in length, and it includes anywhere from 6 to 10 individuals per session. And as I said before, it's very much occupation centered. The knowledge is meant to be applied in their daily activity and to be meaningful to them. It targets specific cognitive skills, including attention, working memory, planning, and overall social communication. The 8 weekly topics are built on top of each other, ranging from cognitive health as a more introductory topic to social communication and decision making, which are more upper level cognitive tasks. Overall, at the end of the 8 sessions, there is an integration and maintenance, which aims to bring all the skills picked up through the 8 weeks into real world application, and also to establish a maintenance calendar so that we are not losing that knowledge that's been acquired. In terms of the deliverables of this program, it's designed to provide a concrete tool for other OTs who work in this setting to pick up and apply it with the residents. It includes a program manual, which has the 8 detailed session plans and the educational handouts for the residents. It also includes a way to assess the effectiveness of the sessions by having on the one side the therapist tracking tool, but also providing the participants with a satisfaction survey to determine how effective it was from their point of view. This leads to the next aspect, which is the way that we assess for the effectiveness of this program. On the one hand, we have an attendance tracking sheet that the therapist will utilize, and also a therapist observation form in which they will be able to rate the application of those cognitive skills in those sessions. And lastly, it provides the participants with a feedback sheet in which they will rate the overall satisfaction they felt throughout the sessions. In conclusion, this program provides occupational therapists with a practical, evidence-based wellness intervention for cognition, which is ultimately rooted in occupation that is meaningful and engaging to those residents. And lastly, this program expands on occupational therapy's role in health promotion, prevention, and healthy aging within residential care setting.